What's up guys, welcome back to ATEM Off-Road. Today's video we're going to be installing this track bar. I want to share with you why I chose this track bar over the OEM or other options, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to install it today on this Jeep Wrangler TJ. So stay tuned, let's get to work. I'm going to chalk both rear tires and apply the e-brake. So here I'm going to begin to remove the track bar from the axle side mount. I'm going to take a T50 TORX bit and hook it up to a breaker bar and just break that loose. And I'll finish it off with my ratchet and impact to remove that bolt. So now on the factory Jeeps, we have a ball joint removal tool set up to remove the frame side of that track bar. We're going to go ahead and take a 15/16 wrench and I'm going to tighten up that bolt and smack it with a hammer. And that's how I remove the ball joint. Pretty simple. Okay, so before we install the Steinjager Track Bar, I want to talk to you about why I chose the track bar. Most of you guys already know that I have a green Jeep Wrangler TJ. The lift and suspension is about 10 years old. So back in the day, they used to do this drop-down bracketry, which you could still purchase in the Pro Comp lifts today. This mount basically bolts to the original mount. It's inside of this weldment here. And then this weldment bolts up to the frame. Most of the time you don't end up bolting it to the frame, you ended up welding it to the frame, and that's what we've done here. Is this mount is now welded to the frame. You have to cut the welds to remove this mount. This mount here, once welded, it's a solid mount, but you have to have a welder and you have to be able to weld it, and it costs about 90 bucks brand new for this mount. Plus the end links for the Heim joints and the track bar, you end up spending about the same amount of money as the Steinjager Track Bar, if not a little bit more. So the Steinjager Track Bar made more sense to go that route instead of this route. You didn't have to weld in the brackets, and as far as cost, it was a little bit more economical to do the same job. We can still use a Heim joint. Instead of facing vertical, we bolt that Heim joint horizontal. So it's pretty much the same setup. The only difference is that you have more of a aggressive slope here on the track bar. So just wanted to give you a reason why I chose this method, because you don't need a welder and you can still get that track bar with the adjustments that you need for that 3 to 6 inch lift. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the installation of the track bar. So I'm going to locate the lower track bar mount that's welded to the axle, and I'm gonna take a 1/2 inch drill bit with my drill straight as possible. I'm gonna locate the original OEM factory hole, and I'm gonna start drilling that out. I'm gonna take some paint and spray these 2 holes. Okay guys, a couple things to consider when bolting your track bar to the axle side. You're gonna need a couple tools. You're gonna need a 19 3/4 socket with a 19 3/4 inch wrench. In the kit, it comes with a bolt. So the threads on this is 1/2 by 20, and it's a grade 8 bolt. So that's a good thing. I would definitely recommend getting some grade 8 1/2 inch washers and a different nut. The reason why I say that is because the 1/2 they give you is low profiled and there's not much threads, so there's more room for error there as far as stripping out threads. Try to find a grade 8 regular sized nut, 1/2 by 20. It's gonna give you more of the threads and you'll be able to torque that track bar down to the 55-65 foot-pounds you need. This nut, I would toss that in the garbage. It's so hard to get inside of the mount with a wrench. So what I had to do, I had to sand down, as you can see, the side of this wrench and then flatten out the profile. And this actually works. So that's one method. And that's gonna be my solution without doing what Steinjager recommends, where they want you to cut out a section of this mount. And I just didn't like that because I didn't want to change the integrity of the mount, but that's also an option. The second method is to take this nut and slip the bolt through the mount, through the track bar, mount it, and then thread on the nut, pull the bolt and the nut back, and then with a welder, tack this nut to the mount, which I did that on my green TJ. That's what I did. It works. So for this install, I'm just going to use the nut, the washers, and this modified wrench to torque the track bar to the mount. So we're going to begin by taking the track bar and it's bushing, and slip the bolt through with the one washer on the one side. I'm going to add the other washer, and then I'm going to thread on the new nut. So with the track bar mounted to the axle end mount, we're just going to go ahead and leave it loose like this. We'll come back to it later and torque it down. So next, on the frame side, we're going to take a reaming tool, and I'm just going to kiss the underside of the hole on that mount. Doing this will help guide a 5/8 steel cutting drill bit. And we're going to go ahead and take that drill bit and drill it all the way through the mount. Try to keep the drill as straight as possible. So next, I'll take some spray paint and just spray the hole to prevent rust. So I'm going to take the end link off of the track bar and apply some blue Loctite to the threads. And on this side, it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread this thing all the way in until the nut bottoms out. And then I'll go ahead and remove the Heim joint itself, and we'll go ahead and apply blue Loctite to that as well. And I'm going to run that one in. This is going to be righty tighty, lefty loosey. We'll just go ahead and run that in all the way until the nut bottoms out. So next, I'm going to go ahead and bolt the track bar into the frame. I'm going to take this grade 8 bolt that comes in the kit, and with one conical washer, slip the other one on, slip the bolt through, add my last washer, and run the nylock bolt down. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten this bolt to the frame mount using a 15/16 wrench and a 15/16 socket wrench with an impact. I'm going to go ahead and buzz that bolt down until it's nice and snug. So next, I'm going to take some crescent wrenches. I didn't have the right size wrench, and I'm going to lock down those jam nuts on both sides of this adjustable bolt on the track bar end. I'm going to go ahead and lock both of those down. So I'm just going to go ahead and reposition that Heim joint in between of those conical washers. That way it's perfectly horizontal and it's got some room to move around. So now that I'm happy with the way that's set up, I'm going to come behind those 15/16 bolt, and I'm going to torque it to 110 foot-pounds. So now I'm going to take my wrench, I'm going to set it in here like this, and I'm going to turn it clockwise over the nut. You may have to take this wrench and kind of move the nut back and forth to get it on. So here the box end wrench is on the nut. I'm going to take a crescent wrench handle, and I'm just going to go ahead and hold that wrench right there as like a kind of like a pry bar, and then go ahead and continue tightening up that bolt. We're going to go ahead and torque that down to 55 foot-pounds and remove the wrench. So as you can see, there's going to be options on installing that track bar. I use this modified wrench, and it got the job done. So once the track bar is torqued to the axle, we're going to remove the cap, pump some grease into the joint, clean up the mess, put the cap back on, and we're done greasing this joint. So just keep in mind, with the new installment of the track bar, we're going to have to get that tuned or adjusted from the axle to the frame. We're not going to do that in this video because I actually have a video on how to do that. I'll put a link in the description box below and up here on the top. If you're unable to tune that track bar successfully, just keep in mind you may have to take it to a professional alignment shop. So guys, I am super excited to have this track bar on my Jeep Wrangler TJ, and I can't wait to get it off-road. Stay tuned for that next video because we just finished the entire installation of a 4-inch lift on this TJ, and we just got done with the shakedown as well. So stay tuned for that next video where I'm going to walk you through the whole process on how I installed that 4-inch lift on this Jeep, and the track bar just complements that lift altogether. So hey, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, helps out the channel, and we'll see you on the next Jeep video. Also guys, I'm on Instagram. Check out my Instagram. I love following back and seeing your guys' Jeeps out there on Instagram. So check that out. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, helps out the channel. Check out some of my other videos that may be helpful to you, and we'll see you on the next Jeep video, guys. Peace.